Welcome, everyone. Please stand so we can start this pledge and remain standing for the prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Father, we thank you for everyone gathered here today. Thank you for what we know, for knowing each of us by name and have caused us to walk with you. We say that we are dependent on you and our trust is in you completely. We ask that you would come with your Holy Spirit and inspire our hearts today. Come fill our lives with your love, fill our conversations with your grace and truth. Fill this meeting with your presence. We ask this in your name. Amen. I'd like to call this meeting to order on June 19th at 6:33 p.m. Can I have roll call, please?
I have Alderman Tyler.
Here.
Pecoraro.
Here.
Berube is absent. Braun.
Here.
Zazoka.
Here.
Also present, Mayor Arthur G. Pappas and City Attorney Luke Brown.
Any opening comments from the mayor tonight?
Not at this time, Mr. President.
All right. Seeing that the mayor has no comments, anybody wishing to speak on tonight's agenda, please step forward and state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is BJ Vanderwater. My address is 1098 Nash Road. The agenda point I wanted to address is the one about the legal notice on the bond resolution. Just put a little background to my remarks. Last December, I sent an email into the city accountant, Amanda Reimer, and I had some suggestions about what we could do with the budget, things we could maybe do with technology, and in particular, one of the things I had raised was our ability to have the water bills exactly like every other utility. And by that I mean get the bill electronically, don't have to worry about the meter readings, actually make the payment electronically right out of our accounts without any kind of convenient fees or any kind of mail. And her response at that time kind of pleased me, and she said, I said, has North Tonawanda looked into this? In her response, and she copied it, in addition to, I had copied originally the mayor and Alderman Pecoraro, and at the time Alderman Tyler. In her response, she copied the rest of the council, and her response was, yes, this was another reason we are hiring an IT consultant. All of these things need the appropriate infrastructure and tools to make them happen. So today, when I read in the agenda about the fact that we're spending $6 million to get brand new water meters, I just wanted to get up and say thank you very much. I'm looking forward to the fact that we're going to be bringing this technology so it's up to par with all the existing technology in today's world. And I'm looking forward to the day when I can not come down and bother the people in the clerk's office to pay my water bill. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
BJ, I want to let you know that when we get these meter readers put on the water meters, that we're actually going to find out some efficiencies and find out the true cost of the water in North Tonawanda as opposed to people independently reading their own meters.
Yeah, I was looking for, I was happy to think of one day, but let's say we pump 1 million gallons in a month. Does anybody ever look to see if we build 1 million gallons in a month, you know, or whatever?
That's what this is gonna give us the capability to do.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that move forward, and I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who was involved to make it happen.
You're welcome.
Anybody else wishing to speak on tonight's agenda? And tonight's agenda only, please step forward. State your name and address for the record. Seeing that there's none, we will begin the agenda.
I have approval of the minutes of the special session, June 12, 2018,
I'll make a motion.
moved by Alderman Zazoka,
I'll second.
seconded by Alderwoman Braun.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
Proof of publication published 4/27/2018 through 4/29/2018, classified ad for seasonal ordinance enforcement officer, building inspector. Proof of publication published 6/2/2018, legal notice, public hearing to discuss the city's economic development programs and potential submission of an application for community development block grant funding community development. Proof of publication published 6/6/2018, legal notice, fiscal affairs for the city of North Tonawanda for year ending December 31st, 2017, city accountant. Proof of publication published 6/6/2018, legal notice, bond resolution for the insurance of serial bonds to finance various public improvements, city accountant. Do I have a motion?
Make the motion, receive and file.
I'll second
Moved
that.
by Alderman Pecoraro, second by Alderman Zazoka.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
Communications from city officials. William DeMonte, resignation as the Assistant Emergency Management Director.
I'll make the motion.
Moved by Alderman Tyler,
I'll second.
seconded by Alderwoman Braun.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor on this item?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
I have from Patricia Brochus regarding resignation as Director of Youth, Recreation and Parks.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Alderman
I'll
Zazoka,
second it.
seconded by Alderman Pecoraro.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
From the city attorney regarding permission to submit 250 Miller Street to the Niagara County Land Bank.
On the question, I had a list of questions, Rob, if you could humor me and try and list down them. I got the laws of the land bank and while we're all here, just to understand it a little bit better. There's gonna be a grading process that goes with this, right? Like some sort of rubric, for the land bank?
You mean for, well, we're gonna request proposals on how.
Right.
What they're gonna do.
And then you'll have a grading rubric for any,
I don't want to list, but I'll go with grading.
like, what do you plan to do? What's your financial backing? What are your 5-year plan? Just like a list of questions and so on. Is that gonna be, accessible by the public or just upon request or?
I'll be on our website. Our website will
Okay.
go active as soon as we get this out.
And so the website will also have meeting minutes on it?
Yes.
As well, and,
And the meeting minutes are available right now, even if somebody just calls me, I can send them.
okay,
I
and-
think Mr. Vanderwaal.
are they, public meetings as well?
Yes.
So,
Public authority, so everything is public except when we go into executive session.
okay, and, has the organization established a budget yet for their expenses? And that'll be on the website as well? So everything's sort of gonna be similar to how any agency is run, public agency?
We're a public authority,
Right.
so it's a different set of rules.
Okay.
Yeah, everything is right on the open.
Okay. There were some odd things with the contract, maybe they're not so odd, but, the land bank is not going to pay the city for any taxes that were owed on the property? No, okay. And the one thing that I did see too is, so you have a budget, and say if a property doesn't work out, for whatever reason, right? And it ends up costing the organization money. I read that it would be on these municipalities, the five, I think, or the five entities that are involved, it would be on them to financially support the organization then, which it might not be a lot, but is that correct?
Well, no. The, as far as the maintenance and security of the properties, those are still the responsibility of municipalities.
Oh, okay, so,
That's all in the agreement that each municipality has already signed.
so if there's grass that isn't cut, it's in our,
The municipality.
okay.
Why wouldn't be?
Well, organization, it seemed like they basically own the property.
It's, what we do, the land bank insures the property.
Okay.
The municipalities maintain the property. And the benefit to the municipality is that they don't pay taxes on the property.
Okay. And do you know how many employees, full-time or part-time employees, that it'll have?
More than that.
None, but you will have someone who's sort of full-time director of everything, right? And that was Kleisig?
We don't have any.
Okay,
Right now, it's strictly volunteer.
okay,
We don't have any, someday
maybe.
but,
And then the last thing, when you send out, assuming you're gonna be putting maintenance, you're maintaining these properties, correct? No,
no, the municipalities are still on the hook.
Still on the hook.
Keeping grass and keeping the building secure.
Okay, so what employees would you hire? What would be, I did see one thing about, an investment manager, so what would that entail?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Okay,
I have no idea
that's
what
okay.
that would be.
all right, I can find out. Is there, an RFP process for anything beyond just, giving someone the property or selling them the property? Is there any other,
Well, it depends on the property.
okay,
If it's residential, commercial, the RFPs would be different.
okay,
And the idea is just to put any property that we would get to put it back in business, to
Right.
take it out of whatever deplorable shape it's in. And the quickest, most effective way to make it good.
right, right. I just ducks in a row here, so just, I'm glad you know.
Is this relating to the submission of 250 Miller Street, or are you just asking land bank questions?
Well, it's similar to that. I think it's just precautionary to make sure everything's lined up, and it sounds like they're doing a good job, so. Thank you for your questions, or your answers to my questions.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it at this point.
Moved by Alderwoman Braun, seconded by Alderman Zazoka.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can we take, Mr. President, can we take roll call?
Sure, let's do roll call on this, thanks, Dan.
Alderman Tyler,
Aye.
Pecoraro,
Aye.
Braun,
Aye.
Zazoka.
Aye, motion carries.
Superintendent of water regarding award of contract for professional services for the development of a capital improvement plan for the water filtration plant.
Bill, did you want to speak on several of these items at all before we vote, or anything to add to any of these to clarify, or are we good?
Yeah, just for, on this one, this is the only one, come on. Because this is a fairly major item, we did the wastewater capital improvement plan last year, you folks were nice enough to authorize that. Now we're gonna continue on with the water treatment plant to start these long-term capital improvements, so we can have viability at those facilities for the next 30 to 50 years out. Alderman Pecoraro served on our committee. We had a committee of 4, it was city accountants Amanda Reimer, Alderman Pecoraro, and then we had Chelsea Spire, the assistant city engineer, and myself. We sent out RFPs for the capital improvement plan. We received 3 back. We went through those, checked on some references, then we interviewed them, and we ended up choosing Arcadis. And that's who I'm asking you to approve tonight. They had a very well thought out plan. They have a nice financial plan that they're gonna give us, it's a program that we can plug in. They have a nice system maintenance program that's gonna allow us to track maintenance and from when an item is brand new to when it needs preventative maintenance to when it needs replacement through the whole life cycle. So we were very, very, very happy with that. And I did bring Dan Sider from Arcadis with me to say a few words about it.
Thanks. So I don't want to take up too much of your meeting tonight, but thanks for having us here. Mark Lenz from Arcadis was here last week presenting at your work session. Hope everything went well. Sounds like it did. This capital improvement program, as Bill mentioned, is really going to set the roadmap for the future. It's about making sure that the city is spending the money any investments that they need to make in their water systems at the right time and for the right pieces of equipment and for the right cost. So that's really what we're focused on. I don't know if there's any specific questions that you had from the presentation from last week or our proposal or costs or anything, but I'm here, I'm happy to answer anything that you may have tonight.
No, he did a good job explaining it all
Yeah.
to us, and I thought it was well done.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion to award the contract?
I'm gonna make the motion that we award the contract.
By Alderman Pecoraro,
I'll second.
seconded by Alderwoman Braun.
We have a motion and a second. Can I have a roll call on this, please?
Alderman Tyler,
Aye.
Pecoraro,
Aye.
Braun,
Aye.
Zedzilka.
Aye, motion carries.
From the Superintendent of Wastewater Water regarding award of contract for engineering services to replace the ferric chloride chemical storage tanks at the wastewater treatment plant.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Alderman Zedzilka,
I'll second.
seconded by Alderwoman Braun.
Let's have a roll call on this item as well.
Alderman Tyler,
Aye.
Pecoraro,
Aye.
Braun,
Aye.
Zedzilka.
Aye, motion carries.
I have from the Superintendent of Wastewater Water regarding professional services agreement for engineering work on phase number 2 of the storm mechanical bar screen replacement project.
Make the motion?
Moved by Alderman Tyler,
I'll second it.
seconded by Alderman Pecoraro.
We have a motion and a second. Let's have a roll call on this.
Alderman Tyler,
Aye.
Pecoraro,
Aye.
Braun,
Aye.
Zedzilka.
Aye, motion carries.
From the Superintendent of Wastewater Water regarding permission to send a wastewater plant operator to the New York State Basic Operations of Wastewater Treatment Plants and Supervision and Technical Operations courses.
I'll make that motion.
Second that?
Alderwoman Braun, seconded by Alderman Tyler.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
From the account regarding payment of the abstract of claims dated June 19, 2018.
Move that we pay the abstract.
I'll second that.
Moved by Alderman Pecoraro, seconded by Alderman Zedzilka.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
You want a roll call on the abstract?
Let's do a roll call on that one.
Alderman Tyler,
Aye.
Pecoraro,
Aye.
Braun,
Aye.
Zedzilka.
Aye, motion carries.
From the accountant, I have regarding budgetary transfer for improvements to the Botanical Gardens boat launch and the repair and maintenance to the Gradwick Park Marina.
I will make that motion for the Botanical Gardens.
Moved by Alderman Zedzilka,
I'll second it.
seconded by Alderman Pecoraro.
We'll need a roll call on this budgetary transfer.
Alderman Tyler,
Aye.
Pecoraro,
Aye.
Braun,
Aye.
Zedzilka.
Aye, motion is carried.
I have from the fire chief regarding appointment of John Mangus as Assistant Emergency Management Director.
I'll make the motion.
Moved by Alderwoman Braun,
I'll second it.
seconded by Alderman Tyler.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor on this item?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I have monthly reports, City Clerk Treasurer, Senior Citizen Center, Police Department.
Make a motion to receive and file the monthly reports.
I'll second it.
Moved by Alderman Zedzilka, seconded by Alderman Pecoraro.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I have Community Development regarding permission to submit a grant application to the New York State Office of Community Renewal for Community Development Block Grant Funding.
Absolutely make that recommendation.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. Let's do roll call on this as well.
Alderman Tyler,
Aye.
Pecoraro,
Aye.
Braun,
Aye.
Zedzilka.
Aye, motion is carried.
I have communications from others. Glenn DiTilio regarding permission to close Lincoln Avenue for a block party on Saturday, September 1st, 2018.
I'll make the motion.
Moved by Alderman Tyler,
I'll second.
seconded by Alderwoman Braun.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor to do this item?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
From the Carousel Society regarding permission to have a children's 4th of July parade on Thompson Street.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Moved by Alderman Braun, second by Alderman Zazoka.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
I have from Sol W. Hack regarding permission to be reappointed as a Commissioner of Deeds for the City of North Tonawanda.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Pecoraro, second by Alderman Zazoka.
We have a motion and a second on the floor, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
I have from Joshua J. Ojanowski regarding permission to be appointed as a Commissioner of Deeds for the City of North Tonawanda.
I'll make the motion.
Moved by Alderman Tyler,
I'll second.
second by Alderman Braun.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. That concludes the agenda. At this moment, if anyone would like to speak on any city business for the good of the city, please step forward and state your name and address for the record.
Carl Bauer, 1066 East Robinson Street. I am also the president of Twin Cities Meals on Wheels. In the past, I have been to a number of council meetings and spoken for both positive and negative reasons. Tonight, I am here on behalf of Meals on Wheels to say thank you and express some gratitude. I'm pretty sure that most of you know that Meals on Wheels gets no public assistance and that we rely totally on what we charge for the meals that we provide, which covers approximately 80% of our expenses and our fundraising. So I would like to thank, in no particular order, and I hope I don't miss anyone, the council for approving the Thursday night concerts, as well as the Department of Parks and Recreation, the Police Department, DPW, and JG Productions. And I guess I should also throw in the Weather Bureau folks for giving us good weather. If I miss someone, please don't hesitate to inform me. I was not at the council workshop when the discussion ensued and the approval for the concerts took place, but I understand that there was a concern about what the designated charity would receive. In regards to that concern, and with understanding that our books are and should remain confidential, I will state that we had 7 very hard-working volunteers on hand last Thursday to handle the parking, and we were very pleased with how the concert and the parking turned out. And of course, we were pleased with the respective donations that we received. I will only state that what we collected last Thursday was more than we collected at any 2 or maybe 3 Thursday nights last summer, and again, we were very pleased and thankful. With that, we look forward to the rest of the concerts and are hoping for good weather and good turnout, because after all, there is no such thing as too many donations. Again, thank you.
Thank you,
You're
Carl.
welcome.
Mr. Bauer, I'd like to say thank you on behalf of the Hub for Services for the distribution of our flyers, for letting the public know about the big to-do we're having on Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock out of Payne Park. Thank
Glad
you.
we could help.
Awesome.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak on any city business for the good of the city, please step forward, state your name and address.
My name's James D. Virgilio. I live at 398 Payne Avenue. The reason I'm here, Alderman Tywick, I contacted him. I believe Mayor Pappas knows the situation. We have a dog in the neighborhood that has attacked numerous dogs. It killed my dog a week ago.
The dog came up the front porch and ripped my puppy out through the screen door. My grandkids were right there with me, they were 3 and 5.
We just think that something needs to be done to prevent this. The
I-
dogs, 2 dogs attacked a neighbor's dog last year. We had the police there. Nothing was done.
The dog was in the hospital for 5 days.
The dog got loose again. It attacked another neighbor's dog less than a week before it attacked our dog.
And we
The
still don't know
police-
to this day whether that dog even had shots.
Do we know who the owner of this dog is?
Yes, she lives across the street.
Has any charges been brought against her?
So,
Yeah.
it's,
I
right,
don't know.
it's my understanding from an officer that the owner was planning to put their dog down because it has been
It shouldn't have gone on for a full year.
Right,
Okay?
right.
And I've been on the phone all day Monday, and I was told The police officer called SPCA, we called the SPCA. North Tonawanda does not contract with, the Niagara County SPCA, so they will not come in NT to help us out at all.
Unfortunately, they weren't coming in when they were on contract.
Well, the citizens need to know that
Oh,
there's
yeah.
nobody out there to help them.
The
Then we're
problem,
told to call the health department, and the health department tells us they're not involved with dogs, but if I need rabies shots for me and my grandchildren, they could set that up.
Problem is, the week before, when I contacted the police about the dog, they came out, we explained what happened last year, the attacks that have happened, and the police officer said they were going to designate this dog as a dangerous animal.
But she was allowed to keep it.
But she was allowed to keep it, she didn't have it confined. It killed our dog, and we were told by the police officer that night when they came that the dog was going to be caged and kept isolated. It got out the next night.
What's the address there again?
My house is 398 Payne, the owner of the dog lives at 402 Payne.
And my neighbor who was behind me was chased by the dog into his car the same night that my dog was killed.
So
And, I mean, nothing's been done.
I don't understand why the city cannot do something about a dog that is harassing the neighborhood, especially when it has proven that it's willing to attack another dog.
It also last year, not to go back, I'm looking at the time, attacked somebody at the city market. She was leaving the market with the dog on Saturday. I was not home because I work on Saturday, but it's been relayed by the neighbors. Our neighbor who has been held hostage because of this dog for over a year. And we all babysit our grandchildren, or a bunch of us had, small children too. You can't take the kids out front. My one neighbor walks her two kids in a wagon, and Marley, who was attacked last year, he's like 100-year-old chocolate lab, he can't hear or see, but he walks with her every day. And she's petrified to take her kids out, now she's expecting a third child.
Did you bring charges up against the owner who's responsible?
I
There's
filed a
nothing,
complaint with the police department. We asked them last year what we can do about the dog, nothing happened. Asked them when it attacked another dog this year. Asked them when it had killed our dog.
and when I went to
We
the
were told
police,
by the police that if the dog attacks a person,
have
they
another
can do
chance.
something about it, but they can't do anything because it was
And
another
I went to
dog.
the police station on Friday at 2 o'clock after my work to get paperwork, because I have been given no paperwork, no incident report number, nothing. And I was told that I had to fill out a form, which I talked to you about, in order to get any of the paperwork that concerns any of this stuff that is happening.
So, when you went there on Friday, and, I know we spoke yesterday, did you file a complaint or an affidavit?
They gave me a form to fill out,
Okay,
and put a very brief statement what happened to my dog alone.
okay,
And they
so,
gave me a number, the police officer actually wrote the number on the form.
okay,
I
so,
signed it and gave it back to him.
so how that works is, once the police complete their investigation, they'll file charges if warranted. Once the files are charged, then it'll come to my office, it'll be scheduled for a court
Okay.
date, and then,
But the dog is still
I have,
there, except now that we saw the dog being removed Monday by the owner and the landlord. They put the dog in the car, they both left, they came back 2 hours later without the dog. I don't know what happened to the dog.
right.
I don't know if the dog was disposed of or if they happened to say, okay, let's move him someplace else so we don't have to do anything with it.
okay, these are your own regulations on your books, okay? And one of them is any dog control officer or police officer who is employed or under contract to the municipality shall seize a dog if it's caught even running in the city. Okay? It has done a lot more than run around in the city. This is by your own admission.
Sure, well, I understand that, but police are in charge of enforcement. I can't give direction to the police. Once charges are filed, if they are, then my office would handle any dangerous dog hearing or any criminal
The thing of it is
prosecution.
that we'll get over our dog. The dog's gone. There's nothing I can do to replace it. My grandkids are starting counseling now because I can't even leave my front door unlocked because they're afraid the dog's gonna come through. I just began to go open the front door to get my mail because the hole is on the screen. I know if anything comes of this and I go to court, I might be able to get the replacement of my screen. I'll never get the replacement of my dog. I'm not looking for a monetary gain. I just want the citizens of North Tonawanda to know that they're protected, that they can play with their kids on the front lawn. And they can walk the dogs around the block and not yet have a dog busting through their front door even. This was being recorded for over a year and nothing was done. And that's the only reason why we're here. Something needs to be done. They can't be dragging their feet about this. You know, I can't be told by a police officer, well, if it bit your grandson or you'd have some recourse better than what we got right now, because their hands are tied. It's baloney.
If I could just address a couple of comments. First of all, I'm very sorry to hear about your dog. Unfortunately, something like that had to happen, and it's too bad. And I think we all regret to hear that, and we're sorry to hear that. Yesterday, I spoke to the police chief. It's first I had heard about the incident. And according to what we were told yesterday, the dog is scheduled to be put down Thursday, I think, the 22nd.
According to, I also reached out to the chief because one of your neighbors reached out to me. And I am very sorry about the incident in the whole, but the chief said that the owner indicated that she had an appointment to put the dog down this Friday, June 22nd, so maybe it was prior to that, I'm not sure. But she is due in court tomorrow, the 21st, to face anything, according to the chief.
Now, see, I contacted the attorney's office, I contacted the county district attorney, they directed me to the local DA, and he said, no, that's handled by the city attorney. I called the city attorney's office and I was told, because I didn't know the woman's name, but I gave her the information, she said, let me look it up. And she said, she's scheduled to have a conference with the city attorney next week, Wednesday. Not that she had any court appearance or anything, she was gonna have a
Well,
conference.
a conference is the court appearance, so they appear for their arraignment and they have a conference while they're there. It's just a preliminary conference, and then we notify any complainant, which would be you, and then you would come in on the next scheduled date. Honestly, I don't wanna say too much about it, just because it's a pending investigation. But that's the process. So nothing will be done without you coming in and speaking with me and consulting about what we're gonna do.
The only problem I have with that is the dog could still remain in her possession and it could still get loose and do whatever. They have no obligation to do anything until they're forced by the court.
Well, if she's voluntarily gonna put the dog on Thursday down, then there won't be a dog.
I have no proof of that.
But there was last week too, and the dog jumped through the window, and that's when, you know.
So maybe we can talk about a condition where, if she is going to court, maybe the judge will have a condition to have, some sort of note that the dog was officially put down as a
I mean, I'd like
confirmation.
to see some paperwork to verify that.
My
she
neighbor,
actually
but
did.
Again, like I
my
said,
neighbors are here with me, supporting me, and we're under hostage, you know, no, like I said, it's beautiful out, you can't go out because you're afraid the dog's gonna come out and charge through a window.
no, I understand. And
She's
once,
home with 4 kids, 4 baby daddies, and the kids are left alone. That's when the dog gets out, because they let it out of the cage. Then it jumps out a window. You know, so we
And
never
they're
know.
liable for that too.
sure, like I said,
Liable for what?
once I get the paperwork,
It's their dog, it's their
we have the conference. Once I get the paperwork, we'll have the conference. Nothing will be done until you're notified. But if it is a situation where the dog is put down, and I'll require proof of it, if that's, you know, what the order ends up being from the court. But like I said, you guys will be notified to come in, and it won't be disposed of until you guys are notified and you've had your say in it. You can also sue them civilly. If you want to get a private attorney, you can sue your neighbor civilly as well. You always have that option.
Can I ask another question real
Sure.
quick? They have, I know, you look at the clock.
I
They have a
don't, I
pit bull
hate the
mix.
clock, let me tell you.
A pit bull mix in that house too. And he was involved in the attack last year. He's, as far as I know, he's still in the house. So is there any way,
And when you say involved in the
when
attack,
Marley was attacked last year and went to the
There
hospital?
was both dogs that had attacked the dog at the same time. I heard the neighbor lady screaming.
The one that was walking with her
It was
two
right on the
little
corner,
kids.
she had the kids with her. I ran out of the house, I saw the dogs, I jumped on the pit bull, got him off. I couldn't get the other dog off because I'm struggling with the pit bull. I finally got the pit bull in the apartment house, And Marley, the chocolate lab, was trying to run across the street to get away from this dog, and the dog's chasing it across the street. Her husband is coming out, running down the street, because her kids are there alone, and she's trying to get her dog. I finally got the other dog, and another gentleman that was there helped me get him off. But
The citizens of
it's-
North Tonawanda are great, because if it wasn't for the two gentlemen that stopped their trucks to help me get my dog back, I don't know what I would have done. But we just want you guys to be aware, there's no sound evidence, and you call one department, they don't know what the next department does, you call that department, they tell us to do this, they don't know what they're doing. Somebody's just gotta get on an even keel here.
it shouldn't come to the point where either a dog dies or someone get, either a child or an adult, anybody gets attacked by a dog before something is done about it, especially when there's been prior attacks by the dogs. I mean, one attack is enough, the second attack is,
Too much.
that's too much, especially with the dogs of those type, what they did to my dog. I don't even want to think, my grandkids.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Luke, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I don't know if you have the answer off the top of your head. Can the dog legally be seized immediately because of what's happened? Do you happen to know?
I mean, it's gonna be on a case-by-case basis based on the officer's investigation, so, I mean, I'm not there, I haven't investigated, I haven't seen the paperwork yet, so I can't make that call.
I do know that when they put a dog down, you will get official proof he was put down. But I was just curious as to whether, because of what happened and the nature of it, if the dog could be seized temporarily until proof comes in or whatever.
Well,
Because,
typically what would happen is the officer would investigate, if the warrant, the officer would seize the dog, and then the owner would be entitled to a hearing about the seizure. So, I can't say, without that, knowing that investigation and seeing the complaints and all that, it's not really my call.
Well, but we need to figure out something for the next dog, not to.
I mean,
That's
a lot of
really
it, a lot of dangerous dog stuff is set by state law, so you can't.
Well,
you gotta kind of follow it.
But I mean, if we look at our timeline, you know, we moved away from the SPCA in Niagara County, and then we just, let go of our dog commissioner. You know, what, are we gonna go in the other direction, or, cause from my understanding, talking to officers, this isn't the first sort of incident, not a death of a dog recently, but there have been attacks, and I know it's because of the weather and so on, but, I just think we have to address it somehow, whether it's hiring someone or training our officers to be capable of taking this on, because I know there's mixed feelings from officers about whether or not they would wanna have the responsibility of, taking care of these dogs, so maybe it's sending them to classes or something, right?
Something needs to be done, yeah, something needs to be done. Because for us to be living in fear just to go out of our door, because even this pit bull, it's not right,
I agree.
it's not right.
Something needs to be
I agree
done.
with you.
Absolutely. Not fair residents to live in fear.
See, that one of the problems is too, when a police officer is called, depending on the nature, whether it's a dog thing or something else, they can only do so much until an action happens sometimes under New York state law. They can't always just go do something. Sometimes they can't do it till there's a problem exists. And that's unfair to the police officers too, because a lot of times they want to do something and can't legally until all of the investigations take place. So I think it needs to be discussed, and it is unfair to the citizenry, and I think we really do need to discuss it.
And the negligent pet owners that are allowing their dog to continually escape, there's gotta be a liability there. That's not a responsible pet owner.
And what's the responsibility of the landlord in that, who lets, fully aware that their tenant, dogs, allow that to keep happening?
That would probably be more of a civil matter.
helps her, not saying he's not supposed to help the babysitter or whatever, but he's fully aware of the whole situation with those dogs. He lives upstairs.
Yeah, and that's most likely a civil action against the landlord and the homeowner, that you'd have to sue with private attorney.
Mr. Vanderwater?
Well, so basically, we have to do lawsuits to settle it. There's just like no,
Well, no, what I'm saying is, for the dog owner, there's possible criminal repercussions. For the landlord or homeowner, you're more likely looking at a civil action, a lawsuit.
lawsuits. But there's no, recourse to just take the dog somewhere. There's no.
Well, like I said,
Just to hold it until we can figure out what we're gonna do with it, because it attacked my dog the week before. It tore the dog right out of the house.
Did you file a complaint?
I did not.
You did not, see, so
He
if,
filed it,
Police.
and the police officer took our names, and we didn't get any.
right, but if you're the owner and you don't file a complaint, see, if no owner files a complaint, then that's on record, there's the first instance.
But
Then the second instance, the police is gonna investigate, they're gonna say, okay, we have a problem with this dog, we can take it and hold it till the dangerous dog hearing. But if there's no first complaint there,
But the point is, she was taking care of her dog that was injured.
I understand,
Why
but
he called? He called.
I understand.
The officer took my name and my husband's name, and he said, mark this, he said, his words were, I've never marked any animal as dangerous dog, and this one's gonna be my first.
well,
So,
the officers, yeah.
He was just put on.
Yeah, officers can't really mark it as a dangerous dog, but there would have to be a hearing and the judge would have to adjudicate it a dangerous dog. So that's,
they told us.
right, but like you said, we'll have to all get together and talk to the chief of police and figure out going forward. And I know we had advertised for a new dog warden, we only got one application, it didn't end up working out with the applicant, so Dan's gonna put the ad back out there, try to get someone in, so it's kinda, we're in between dog wardens too, so it was there was a gap there, so, between getting with the police chief and putting that application back out there, hopefully, we can get things tightened up a little bit for you.
So in the meantime, until we get some notification, how are we as residents gonna get notification that the dog was used?
Talk to the police
Well, the
chief.
owners, Mr. and Mrs. DiVirgilio, they'll be noticed of any court action, and they'll come in, and they'll be notified, so then they could let the neighborhood know. Otherwise, I wouldn't know who would want to be notified, unless I had something to write with.
Mr.
DJ?
Vanderwater?
EJ Vanderwater, 1098 Nash Road, and I'm actually kind of glad that Bill is here. Before I get started on my comments, I want to say I've always been impressed by your professionalism. Whenever you present to the team or anything else, you always come with multiple solutions, and that's a good thing. And if you can get a raise out of these people, I wish you all the best of luck. Now, I read an article, this is where my comments come from, so please, you'll understand that they're coming from me, myself as a taxpayer. I read an article written by Mia recently that talked about the raise, and I did some research and I saw you guys tabled the raise discussion to look at some more things. And I have 2 points that I'd like to raise that be part of your consideration. The first is, did the salary go down when the responsibility for the water was removed? Because if it didn't, then that sort of implies that that responsibility has always been paid for to the superintendent of wastewater, even though at the time he wasn't doing it. I don't know the answer to that question, I'm just saying as part of your deliberations, please consider that. The second point I would ask you to consider is, were a shift to have been made in the past, it seems to me that when we take a responsibility away from someplace, and the only thing it said in this article was DPW, didn't give a name or anything, who was taken away from, I would think that the salary for that position would go down by a corresponding amount, because that person then is no longer has that
If Brad
responsibility.
retired, that was Brad's job.
Doesn't matter whose job it was,
Well,
because,
sort of, he retired.
well, then, that's fine, then the salary for the new guy, who I don't remember the name, forgive me,
Mark Zellner.
should go down by a corresponding amount, because he was given a salary assuming that he had that responsibility. And And so I'm not saying what's right or what's wrong, because I don't have enough knowledge to say what's right or what's wrong, but in your deliberations, I would ask you to please consider both of those points. And I'll turn the 3 minutes and 10 seconds back to you guys.
You could dance, BJ, for the next
No,
one.
I can't dance.
Thank you, BJ.
Thank you.
Dance as if nobody's watching.
That's all right.
I can jump, you can.
Anybody else wishing to speak on any city business, please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
John Lukasik, 454 Sheng Street. My first question is, do you have a replacement for Patricia Brochus?
Not yet. We will be posting the job after today, because today is the official acceptance of your resignation. And then we'll be conducting interviews to appoint someone provisionally until the civil service exam is given.
Thank you. There's a sign on Castle Bar near Nash Road. It's a city sign, and I don't know what, it's a triangular sign. It's been there for about 3 weeks, and part of it is projecting over the curb. It's between the sidewalk and the curb.
What kind of sign is it, John?
Portable?
Like,
What kind of sign is it, John?
I
Like
don't
a
know.
traffic
Like a
sign, or is
portable
it
sign?
made from someone, Barb, to you?
Well, they did work on the corner of my
Okay.
street, and I think it's one of theirs, I'm not sure, cause it's laying face down and he spotted it.
Is it
so-
orange?
Okay, it's like a portable sign
Okay.
that
Yeah,
put
it has
out.
2 prongs, like when it stood up, see, it's facing down, but it's the only way it could've got there is when they did work at the end. Left it there, yeah.
We can take a look at that.
Okay, thank you.
Let's
And
take-
the last one is on 326 Tremont Street. There's a flag that's half American and half Canadian on the same piece of cloth. And Barb and I went to the house, knocked on the door, she knocked on the door, and she talked to Marsha, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you put me up to it.
You threw you in front. That's the way to do it, John.
Anyway, it's a violation of the flag code. I mean, to have the Canadian flag and the American flag on the same piece of cloth. And I don't know what to do about that, because that bothers me. It's a flag code violation.
Is it actually a code violation? It is, John? It is a code violation? I've never,
Of course it is.
It's a flag code.
I mean, it's not specific, it doesn't specifically state,
but vandalizing like an American flag, basically?
you know, it's out of the realm of the code.
Okay.
Because usually, I'm conscious of flags being tattered and torn. I'll give you an example. On Nash Road. I can't tell you exactly where, but he had a British flag and an American flag. And the British flag was on the observer's left. And I approached him and I said, you know, you're flying the flags in the wrong position. The American flag should be on the left, on the observer's left, as you're looking at the house. And he wasn't too kind. He wasn't too kind about that. But a few weeks later, I didn't see that anymore. So I'm bringing this up because it's not in the flag code, because it's an unusual situation. So what do we do about that?
You got a carton of eggs?
John, I went out there today after you told me about it, and I noticed that it was rolled up, so only the Canadian piece was on display. So maybe they got it and they realized they can't be doing that. So I'm hoping that takes care of it, at least that first step. And there is a reason why they call you the number one flag man.
Exactly.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Good job.
My name's Barbara Barrett, 780 Castleman. When we're riding around, he gets me to get out and do all that. We went one house, they had the flag upside down. Barb, get out, take care of this, don't you?
My assistant.
She's more intimidating than you, John, I have to say, right?
Oh, thank you.
Is she your assistant or director?
I'll take one of each. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, John.
Hi, my name is Chris Kuntz. I live at 574 East Boundary Street. And as a few of you know, I'm an avid golfer. And I did approach Patty Brocious maybe about a week and a half ago and asked her a question. And she told me that she was waiting, she needed a response from the council. And now I see why my email hasn't been answered. She has resigned.
As of July 5th, yes.
Oh, okay. So obviously she probably hasn't approached the council. I don't even know if this is appropriate or not, but the league that I belong to, this is our 40th year at Deerwood. It was started by non-residents and a couple residents of the city. Every year, we have, for at least over 20 years, a special day, which is like the last Thursday of June, because we're a 9-hole and 18-hole league. We dedicate it to donating the money that day to cancer research. So every year we've written a check to Roswell's Cancer Research. And going back to the days of Mr. Silsby and Wayne Chrisman, they've always allotted our non-residents to have resident fees that day for golfing, because our league asks each one of the women to donate $25 that day towards the cancer research. So it gets expensive for them. We also do a basket raffle. We ask them to not only donate, but to also buy tickets towards these baskets, pay for your golf, and pay for the cancer. It's only a few dollars difference. They offer non-residents what they call an early bird special. And that is just $3 more than what they would pay if they were a resident. I'm not sure what the 9-holers are. And we're maybe only talking about, we only have maybe about 45 women between both leagues. And I'll tell you, I'll admit, I'm 66 years old, and I'm probably 5% of the youngest in this league. We've got women that are 85, 88 years old, still coming from Hamburg up here to golf in this league. They started it, they're continuing, with it. So I'm just asking if it's possible on this day that these non-residents could pay resident fees that day.
Which day
What
is
day
it?
is it?
It's the last day in June, the 28th. I think it's next Thursday.
Next Thursday. Is that last Thursday of the month?
Yes, yes. We have it every year, the last Thursday of the month.
How do we, handle?
Well, honestly, I'd like to look into it a little more, just because I don't know the particulars, and because it's a city-owned golf course, there's, might be state provisions against giving away to non-residents. You're basically giving away a gift, a publicly owned gift then.
Maybe $3.
Yeah, I understand if it could be 1 cent if it's against, the New York State Constitution. So
Okay.
what I would suggest is we have a workshop next week, right? I mean, I know it would be late notice, but it would at least give me some time to look into it. And then if the council is gonna approve it, they could approve it at a special session next Tuesday.
Okay.
I know that's short notice for you,
No,
but
it's
I
not,
don't
because
want
the women would know when they go to pay Thursday
Yeah.
morning. So as long as they would know that.
Right.
And just to let you know that with maybe, I think there might be 45 of us between the two leagues. Last year, we donated $1,600
Sure.
to it. So I mean, for that group of women, that's a lot of money.
So has Patty done this in the past? Where they,
Well,
or no?
it always was, whoever we talked to there, they would say, yeah, go ahead. Well,
Okay.
last year Bob was on board, and Bob, said no, and the president of the league, who was
Not me.
80-something.
Not
No,
me.
not you,
Our Bob?
who's 80-something,
raised holy cane, said, we've been doing this for 20 years and they've always been giving us a break. So I think he felt intimidated. This year when I asked him, he said, well, they can have the early bird special. All right.
So what was it before? You would, not the early, they would get the resident rate?
Yeah, I think
And
the
then
early
last year
bird,
was the early bird?
the early bird special, which they pay every Thursday when they come, non-residents, before 9 o'clock, you pay $29.
Mhm.
A resident that's non-senior can pay $26 for that round of golf, so.
Alright.
But, Wayne Chrisman and John Silsby must have been approached 20-some years ago, and every year they've been doing it, so, up until last year and this year. So I thought I'd ask, Patty, and now I see this is where, you know, with her resigning. And I do wanna say the golf course is coming along. It's coming along now. If we could just get more golfers on the course, we'd be happy.
There you go.
So, yeah, I'll take a look into it for you, and then,
Okay.
the council can make a decision next week.
Okay.
Chris, can you give us your email or give Dan your email before you leave?
Yes.
Just so we have contact.
Yes, that would be great. And I am the chairman of the committee, so that's why I'm here asking.
Great.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me just clarify, I am not the Bob that denied the fees.
Barbara Barrett, 780 Castlebar. John wants me to announce the fact that the flags over Luxon Drive, John and I had put those up originally. They're faded and tearing. Tomorrow morning, after our exchange meeting, we are going to be putting up new flags. So anyone interested in coming over, please come over and see what we've accomplished.
Great.
Yes,
9:30 in Tonawanda, Luxon Drive in Tonawanda, the overhang. That was John Lukasich's project last year,
and mine.
and Barbara Barrett's, and now it's a time to replace those flags, so we'll be doing it tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I noticed that there was one down.
Two
Yeah,
down,
yeah.
two.
Yeah.
You seem to forget me, and I do most of the running.
You're the
and
brains,
work.
right?
You're the director.
What?
You're the director.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Thank you, Barbara.
We like
Thanks,
to see you
Barbara.
out.
Anybody else wishing to speak on any city business for the good of the city, please step forward. State your name and address.
Walt Yarrow, 170 Christiana Street. Mr. Mayor, you need to thank the crew that came over and cleaned out the cemetery. They did an exceptional job on that. The group leader wearing I think he had a yellow shirt on, he did more than was expected of him. He's actually taken almost a personal interest in the cemetery. He was asking all sort of questions about the 1,538 souls that we have over there. They gotta be standing on each other's shoulders in there. Anyhow, please convey to them that it's truly appreciated what they did. Ms. Braun,
Before you go
Alderman.
on, I just want to tell you that I saw them working over there, and they were doing a great job. I took a walk over myself, and I
so-
talked to each one of them,
Good.
and told them what a nice job they have been doing, and I will relay your personal
Yeah, from
praise to
the
them.
cemetery committee, thank you. Ms. Braun, alderwoman, alder lady, alder person, whatever. We have a situation in the second ward. There's a utility pole with a transformer on top of it on the west side of Bryant Street between Tremont and Goundry. They should be 90 degrees. I think this one is over about 65 or 70. I called the company last week and I don't think anything's been done. I wake up in the morning, I turn the light switches on so I see the current still in the neighborhood. But if it comes down, it's gonna take quite a bit with it. But
Tremont
it
and
needs to be
Goundry?
addressed. Pardon?
Tremont and Goundry? Is that what
Between
you said?
Tremont and Goundry on Bryant.
Okay.
It's near Miles Joyce's old house. The other thing, we bought a clock.
I know.
Why'd you put it there? It should belong here where you can see it.
I don't
It's
see a
for-
trash can.
Well, it's for you guys to see, not me.
No,
for
we
the
want to
speakers.
see, keep it over here where it belongs.
Speakers.
Belongs.
Pardon?
Gene, you like the clock?
Yeah, I think it's nice. You needed it a long time ago. You know, you put a
I'm
5-minute,
crushing it. It has a mute on it, but it doesn't seem to
he
work
doesn't know how
yet.
to operate it yet.
Yeah, I'll have to find a pair of scissors.
No, don't touch it, it's.
No, don't touch it.
Just remember, Sonia's not here tonight.
She's gonna love the clock.
Hey,
Well, it was for her personally,
Oh,
but it was her own.
thank
Thank you.
Anybody else wishing to speak on any city business, please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
Krista Vince Garland, 238 Tremont Street. I don't need the clock set, I won't take very long. I just wanted to give props to the NT cops. Last Monday, we were at Remington, we saw officers on bicycles. And they didn't just loop once. I mean, they were really maintaining their presence, and they were friendly. And on social media, you may have seen, there were officers who were handing out cookies. There are officers who actually pull over to make sure that people are okay. There are officers patrolling. I know that they have a lot on their shoulders, and we all as citizens have a lot on our shoulders to look out for each other. They do so much that goes behind the scenes, and so I wanted to please tell you to pass on to them that we really appreciate their presence, and it's very, very reassuring that as much as they can, they're helping. And in fact, a week and a half ago, there was an instance where there was someone who was driving down our street at about 9 o'clock, and she shouldn't have been driving, and she rammed into a parked car, and then she took off. And these officers, within a couple minutes, were able to track her down and find her and take care of business. And so I really want you, as much as you can, to thank them for us, because their presence and their efforts are recognized. And thank you for declaring Nerds Day last week. That concert was so much fun, and it was a really nice way to kick off the summer. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak on any city business, please step forward, state your name and address.
Hi, everybody, I'm Rob Powell. On behalf of the Niagara Orleans Land Improvement Corporation, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to make a positive impact on Miller Street. It's gonna work out great.
Well, we thank you for
Thank
being
you.
on,
Yeah,
we
thank
thank you for
our
being on the
representative.
land
Yeah.
bank for Niagara County. That was gonna be one of my
Thanks.
closing.
It's
Thank
my
you,
pleasure,
Rob.
but it's gonna be great. I know
Thank-
everybody's a little trepidatious, but it's gonna work.
No.
Thank you.
We've got
Thanks.
confidence, thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak on any city business, please step forward. State your name and address. Seeing that there's none, we'll go into closing comments. Let's start with Alderman Austin Tyler.
you first. Okay. Hello, everyone. It's always weird when there's so many people here and yet only a handful come up and speak, but that's right. So to the residents on the right, the DiVirgilio family, I am sorry about what happened to your dog. You know, some people treat dogs like kids. I have neither of them, but I can understand because I really like dogs. Kids, on the other hand, I don't know. But so I am sorry to hear that, and I'll personally make sure, and I know fellow alder people, the mayor will also look into the matter and figure out how we can be proactive moving forward. I know we can't bring the dog back, but we'll try and do you good at least in the following year, so just wait for that. Rob, thank you again for the land bank. I think you are gonna do us good. You're diligent, you're gonna work hard, and you're gonna be honest about it, so thanks. And And I also would like to reiterate the police comment. You know, I built a relationship with a lot of these police officers now that I've been in office, and you know, I've realized how much they do for the city, much like other departments as well. But you know, once summer hits, everything goes nuts. I mean, I'm sure everyone here remembers in high school what you were doing in the summertime. So they've been really good. They've been on top of things. They've been transparent and social on social media, like Krista had mentioned. So thank you. And I always like to call him out in the back over there. So, you know, if anyone wants to give a clap his way at least to stand up for all of them, right? So, but of course, thank you everyone for coming, and have a good day.
Alderman Bob Pecoraro.
Thank you, Mr. President, and no, I don't remember what I did in the summers.
Thank you.
You were doing that many bad things, you don't remember, Bob?
I'm sorry, I turned 60 a couple of weeks ago and, never mind.
You're surprised.
I wanna say that I'm really sorry to the DiVirgilios. You know, our residents have a right to feel safe and secure in their city, and it's not right, and we're gonna take care of it. For Patty Brocious, we're gonna miss Patty a lot. She's done a lot. She's worked 30 years for the city of North Tonawanda and has always had the residents at heart in all her decisions that she's ever made, and we're really gonna miss her. And one of Patty's last hurrahs, as I already spoke about when Carl was up here talking about Meals on Wheels, was that we're having a hub for services associated with her spring kickoff, summer kickoff, this Friday at 3 o'clock at Payne Park. We're gonna have services, it's gonna be oriented in this hub for families. So we're gonna have a lot of families, a lot of free giveaways. So please come out there to Payne Park on Friday, 3 o'clock, and I guarantee you will have a lot of fun. 4 o'clock? I'm sorry, Carl's correcting me, it starts at 4. They want me there at 3, but you're right. 4 o'clock Friday, Hub for Services. I hope everybody comes there. We're gonna provide a lot of information for residents, and we'll all be there to answer whatever questions our residents may have for you also. With that, I'll hand it back over to the president.
Okay, Alderwoman Donna Braun.
No food.
Any closing comments from you?
Thank you. I too would like to give my sympathies to the DiVirgilio family. I am a dog person. People reached out to me in your neighborhood and I addressed it with the chief. So hopefully we can move forward and make our neighborhood safe. I too would like to thank Patty Brocious for her 30 years of service. She will be truly missed. She worked very hard. She was very dedicated to our city. Rob, I already thanked you. I think the land bank is gonna take off, and I'm glad to see that North Tonawanda is gonna be the first one to a Niagara County land bank to take off. Also very excited about our project Woodcock Brothers. Hopefully this project is gonna go through to bring another $1.3 million project to the Wurlitzer building, along with 51 job opportunities. I also would like to just say a word about Alderman Pecoraro. I'm very proud to serve on this council with him. And I saw his essay in the Niagara Gazette, thank you. And I'm very, very humbled and proud to sit up here on the council seat with Colonel retired Pecoraro. When I read that essay, it meant a lot to me too. So I thank you for that. And one more thing, Mr. Bauer, I did attend the first Thursday concert. It was a beautiful night, and let's hope that it looks like it's gonna be beautiful this Thursday. And the sandflies are almost gone.
I wanted to get my protein.
And it was very well organized and it was very well attended, I believe, and hopefully it just keeps building up and gets bigger and better for you. And Jesse, thank you.
Thank you, Donna, for those comments. Appreciate it.
City Attorney Luke Brown.
Yes, I just wanted to thank the council for approving 250 Miller Street for the land bank, and for Rob for serving on the land bank board for the city of North Tonawanda. I know he put a lot of time into it, and he always has the answers for me when we're trying to move forward with something on the land bank, so I appreciate that. So thank you, Rob, and thanks to the council for approving that.
Thank you. And let's see, Dan Quinn, Clerk Treasurer.
The only thing I'll say is, again, I'm sorry for your loss of your dog. I am a dog owner also, and I do have a small dog, and I take it for granted when I let my dog out, not even thinking about what dogs could be around there. I will contact my state person I have in Ag and Markets who I deal with in regards to dog questions, and I'll see what type of training, maybe she can come in and set up something where she can assist the police officer until we hire a new dog control officer, which I will post in the paper tomorrow. see what type of training they can give them so they know what they are allowed to do and not allowed to do when taking a dog into custody.
And also the mayor, Art Pappas, you have any closing comments?
The resignation for retirement purposes from Patty is something that I think all of us are kind of sad to hear, because Patty has just been an outstanding department head and has worked very, very diligently to make sure that Department of Youth Recreation, Parks, and Senior Citizens has operated efficiently. And she's done an outstanding job, and the next person to come in is certainly going to have big shoes to fill. And we're going to miss her, and we thank her very much for her services. And I'd like to say we accept that retirement with regret. And in terms of the only other thing that I just, well, on a brighter note, the concerts are all going. The Thursday night one's the Easy Listening, and the other little bit more rock concert type thing down at Gratwick is all underway now, and Gateway on Wednesday nights. So there's a lot going on. We hope you'll be able to attend some of those things. The dog issue disturbs me. I'm a dog owner, I always have been. I'm a dog lover, I have a huge dog. And I do take a dim view of people that know their dog is dangerous and don't take some action on their own. To me, that's irresponsible. I don't know all the facts, I know there's an investigation going on, but in general speaking, I have a very dim view of people that don't act accordingly when they know their dog is dangerous. Some people just can't accept that their dog is dangerous or don't want to accept it. I think that's pretty selfish, and I think that's being a pretty poor citizen. I don't know what we can do at this point. I know Luke and the police are looking into it, and as we said earlier, the dog in question is supposed to be put down this week. The chief said that he will be in touch with us, and we have to keep in mind, unfortunately, the police, sometimes their hands are tied. They can only do what they can do according to law, and our police, they do. They do a great job, and they do what they can. But I think we do need to discuss this. I think it's a very important issue, because obviously it may come up again sometime with another family in another neighborhood. And this is something I think we should have an answer and a remedy to sooner rather than later. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. And finally, I will also weigh in on this. I have a dog. When she was a puppy, the dogs next door, very big, ran through the fence and attacked her. And to this day, she does not ever forget that these dogs were big enough to jump to the fence and attack her and bite her. And, I keep her tethered on a stake with a leash, just because she's a bigger dog and I don't want to have any problems. And I'm an animal lover, I have other animals in the house, and I don't want my dog, she's very docile, but she won't forget the fact that those dogs broke through and I had my own issue with my own neighbors and their lack of, understanding, and the fact that they damaged my fence and ran through a clear fence that was solid, that's how big they were. So what I can assure you from just that alone is that I'd like to personally meet with the police chief and talk to him about what we can and can't do, and there needs to be more done. And I think that, any dog that, whether it's biting or damaging or killing another animal or at risk of hurting another person, a child, I think that's gotta be, we've gotta have the stiffest penalties for that kind of scenario. And I think there's more that we need to do, have to do, and will look into do with the police department in the interim while we transition back into a dog officer. And I can tell you that being on this council and paying a contract to the SPCA, for what seemed like a 5-year contract that just really wasn't delivering the services that they said they would deliver to our community. We weren't going to allow that to continue. We needed to make another adjustment, an arrangement, a change, a better step, because they were limiting their involvement in NT and they were under contract. And I know that former city attorney Sean Nickerson was part of that, Scott Godrowski. There were people that we were trying to hold them to what they signed. And it's your taxpayer dollars. It's a welfare of an animal or multiple animals, and we were not getting the results from them either. So we will look at this from every which way and proceed forward. And I know that won't change your situation, but at least it'll give the residents a peace of mind. I'd like to say too, you know, Carl, I'm glad that this is working out for you with JD Productions on this Thursdays on the Water. I know that this was something that Jesse and I talked about, worked on, tried to come up with the best, you know, situation to get people to the waterfront. And I'm glad that your charity's involved, and I know he wants you to benefit, and I applaud him for that. And the people are enjoying themselves down there. I went down there earlier when it was just getting going last week because I coach soccer and I'm gonna go there tomorrow. And it's just great to see people down at the park, not just 1 week, you know, 2 weeks, but, you know, we've got several, you know, we're stringing events together. And 97 Rock was on the radio and they had a recording they played saying how they were thought this community was so welcoming and that they were very, very pleased on the turnout and that this was a perfect venue for their car cruise night. And I believed in that from the beginning, that we can get people to come to our waterfront. You don't necessarily need to live on the waterfront to enjoy it. So we got to get people there. We've got the soccer kids out there, we've got kite flying, we've got the Boy Scouts out there. You know, now we've got this event. It's one more thing we can do, and I just want to say I'm glad. I think we'll have future success with it. Lastly, you know, Bob, I did read your letter as well, and as a dear friend, you know, I can say your heart's always in the right place, and this gentleman cares about our community, cares about our country. I don't need to say that. I don't think anyone needs to say that. He demonstrates it every day in the city and the service and the passion that he has for this community and the city. And in each and every one of the people that he talks to. And I want to thank you for your hubs for services and all that you do there and all the time that you volunteer on behalf of the residents. I just wanted to recognize you for that because I think that needs to be said. With that, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
To make the motion to go into executive session.
Yes, I will do that after we have all in favor.
Aye.
All in favor? Aye. The meeting is adjourned. I will now yes, we're going to take 5 minutes before we go upstairs. We are going to go into an executive session for personnel matters.